Most institutions will have multiple fund types. Higher education institutions will use the accounting practice called fund accounting, and each institution will have a set of policies and procedures that align with each fund type that is being used. Another way to think of fund types is to ask, where does the money come from? Because most likely the source of revenue will determine how the institution will need to track it. You will most likely find these common fund types at your higher ed institution. Operating funds, which house the operating budgets, are the most common fund types you will find. These funds are commonly referred to as general funds or education and general fund budgets, E&G. Tuition, which comes from students, will most likely be the form found in this fund type. Auxiliary funds. The most common examples of auxiliary funds are athletic operations, housing and dining operations. Service center enterprises. Most common examples of these funds are your motor pools and your printing and mailing services. Designated operations. The best thing I can think of for a designated op is that it houses both the revenue and the expenses associated with a specific camp that might be occurring on your campus. Grant funds are multiple different funds that come from multiple different funders. Each separate grant will most likely be within its own separate grant fund. Reserve funds, otherwise known as cash reserve funds. You will also find building and equipment reserves in different funds outside of your operating budget and auxiliary funds. For example, if you manage the recreation center on your campus, you will most likely have an operating fund that may or may not be an auxiliary fund type. But in addition, you will also have additional funds known as equipment reserves and/or building reserves. Some other examples of reserve funds include working capital, cash reserves, and funds that need to address unanticipated expenses in the future and revenue shortfalls within the future as well. Capital funds, you may want to think of them as construction funds. If you see a new building that is being built on campus, you'll want to realize there are multiple funds that will be considered capital funds that will be housing these monies of these construction projects. Other capital funds will be used to hold bond monies, and perhaps other capital funds will be created for other medium to large renovation projects occurring on your campus as well. Note, this is certainly by no means representing the full fund types you'll find on a college campus, but to give you an overview of the different types of funds. Keep in mind, you most likely won't be able to mix these different fund types together. Depending on each institution, each fund type will most likely have its own restrictions and non-restrictions associated with each type of funds. Note, departments may share some of the same funds within the departments, and the departments may have multiple different types of funds that they need to budget and manage for.